Hi everyone. I've heard from some of you that you're still having a little bit of trouble with visual logic and understanding how all the creating flowcharts works and figuring out from the problem that's in the book how to actually translate that into visual logic. So I'm going to take a moment to go back and just look at the assignment that we did in Module 2 and show you how that could have been solved. So what we need to do is start with opening up our visual logic. So I'm going to double click on the visual logic icon. We need to continue, go to my VLSIG file, and here's where I have it located. Open that up. Yes, this is me. And I am into visual logic. So I'm starting with the beginning and end symbol. Now if I look at the problem, I am to create, let me see, this is 5A on page 88. The first part talks about the hierarchy chart. See, we're going to program to determine the profit on any item sold. Input includes the wholesale price, the retail price for an item. The output is the item's profit, which is the retail price minus the wholesale price. So what we need to do is we need to input two values. We're going to input the wholesale price and the retail price. Then we're going to calculate the profit. And we've learned that the profit is retail minus wholesale. Retail is the price that a store would sell things to you for, and wholesale is the price that they get when they buy it. So a store would buy something for less than what they're going to sell it to you for, and the difference between those two is the profit. So we'll need to do that calculation, and then we're going to output the profit, and we'll label it, say something like the profit is, and then list the profit. And then we're also going to have a little statement at the end just to say thank you for using the profit calculator. So to get started, we need to input our two values. So we click, and we need an input symbol. And we said the first thing we need to input is the wholesale price. So anytime we need to edit this, we're going to double click on the symbol. So we double click on input, and we need to name the variable. I'm just going to call this wholesale. And if we click on more, we can add a prompt. And that prompt, remember, it reminds us down here to put double quotes around. So I'm going to say enter the wholesale price. And I'm just going to use a colon there and a couple spaces and then finish up with my double quote. So that's going to be my prompt. If I didn't leave the spaces after the colon, it would take whatever number I'm entering and put it right up against the E in price or the colon, whichever I have at the end. So, okay, that's my first input. Now I need another input, so I'm going to click. And second input, I'm placing that right below the first one. And now I want to input retail and more. Enter the retail price, and I'm going to keep this consistent. And when you do your names, make sure that you are using meaningful names and that you're using a consistent way of typing those names in. For example, you'll see that I've just used lowercase for my names. If I were going to use an uppercase letter for the first letter, do that consistently. Or if you want to use the camel case, and if you have two words, the second word is going to have an uppercase letter to start it. But be consistent in your naming and be sure they're meaningful. You know, we don't want to call this just num1 and num2. We want something that's going to have some meaning to it. Okay, now I need to do my calculation. So I click, and I'm not inputting anymore. I want to do what's called an assignment. So I add an assignment symbol, and you'll see the variable name goes on the left, and the expression or the calculation goes on the right. So double click. My variable, I'm calculating the profit, and my expression is going to be retail, which is the higher of the two prices. That's what the store is going to sell it to you for, and then minus wholesale. That's the price that they paid for the product. So this is our calculation, retail minus wholesale, and whatever the result of that is going to go into a variable named profit. Our variable name is always going to go on the left. So click OK. Now we need to put this out so that the user can see what the actual answer is, because all we've done here is done the calculation, and profit is a variable that's in storage, in memory on your computer. So this has gone into memory and it's just sitting there. To actually see it, we need to output it. So click, and we want to do output. And now for our output, you'll remember we need to use double quotes around our literal strings. So we want to say the profit is, and you can use something different if you want. This is just what I'm using. And then remember that glue that we need to be able to stick things together or concatenate? We need to put in an ampersand, and that's going to allow us to take the profit variable, the contents of that, and add it onto our little label, the profit is. So we have the profit is in double quotes because that's our literal, it's our string, it's just something that we want to put out there on the screen. And then we use the ampersand, which is our glue. We're going to append onto that string whatever is in the profit variable in our computer, in storage and memory. So we click OK. And then the last thing we wanted to do is put out a little thank you for using the profit calculator message. So that's another output. And this is just going to be a string. Whoops. Thank you for using the profit, using uppercase, profit calculator. No variables or anything here, just a string of text. We just want to output that onto the screen. So, OK. Now, something that I've seen some of you try is to take this calculation and combine that with the output and just do it all in one. While it is possible to do that, it's not good form. It's better to do your calculation and put your calculation into a variable and then take that variable and output the contents of the variable. So don't combine these two. They do need to be two separate steps. Okay, let's see what this is going to do. So come up here and click, and I'm going to run it. Enter the wholesale price. Okay, let's say we paid $100 for it, and retail, let's say we're going to sell it for $150. So the profit is $50. And thank you for using the profit calculator. Okay. So we are all done. Last thing to do would just be to save this someplace where you have it, that you can go back and find it so that you can upload it into Moodle. And that's just done by going to File and Save As. Hopefully that's going to help you with your future flowcharts that you need to do. And again, if you have any questions as you're working on these, please get in touch with me. I will willingly help you out. I do have access to some software that will allow us to even connect up electronically. So if you're at your computer and I'm at my computer, we can connect and I can see what you're doing, or I can show you what to do. We do also have a tutor available. So if you go on to the South Piedmont website, and there is a place there where you can go in and request tutoring, and I'll try to remember to put that in a post for you so you have access to that information. Hope this helps you out. You'll have a great day.